When life feels pointless, it's easy to get lost in the vast emptiness that seems to stretch ahead. Days blur together, each one echoing the same question: why am I even here? If you've ever found yourself adrift, you're not alone. So many people have stood at the edge of that silent abyss, searching for something, anything, to remind them that the world still holds meaning. Sometimes all it takes is a story. One story, told at the right moment, can heal a heart, reignite hope, and bring a person back from the brink. Let me tell you such a story. In the heart of a bustling city lived an ordinary man named Daniel. His life was a series of routines: wake up, go to work, eat dinner alone, sleep, repeat. The lights of the city sparkled outside his apartment window, but Daniel could no longer see their beauty. Weeks passed, and the world felt gray, drained of color and purpose. Friends tried to reach out, but Daniel withdrew further, convinced that his existence was a small ripple in a vast, indifferent ocean. One chilly autumn evening, Daniel found himself wandering the city streets, uncertain why he'd even left his apartment. The air was brisk, carrying the scent of falling leaves and distant laughter. He walked past cafes filled with smiling faces, past couples strolling hand in hand, past children chasing each other along the sidewalk. Each sight only deepened his sense of isolation. As he turned a corner, Daniel noticed an old bookstore, its windows fogged, its shelves crowded. Something drew him inside. The bell above the door jingled softly as he stepped in, and the warmth of the shop wrapped around him like a gentle embrace. The owner, a gray-haired woman with kind eyes, greeted him with a nod, then returned to her knitting behind the counter. Daniel wandered through the aisles, running his fingers along the spines of forgotten novels and dusty memoirs. He had no intention of buying anything. He simply wanted to escape the cold. But then, tucked away in a far corner, he found a small, leather-bound book titled Wordy Tales. The cover was worn, the pages yellowed with age. On a whim, he opened it. Inside was a collection of stories, each one simple, yet profound. The first story he read was about a boy who felt invisible until he helped a lost puppy find its way home. Another was about a woman who baked pies for her neighbors when her own heart was breaking, discovering that kindness could mend even the deepest wounds. As Daniel turned the pages, he felt something stir within him. These tales weren't about heroes or grand achievements. They were stories of small acts, quiet courage, and everyday hope. They spoke of moments when life felt pointless, and how, in those moments, even the smallest gesture could change everything. He read a story about an old gardener who planted seeds every spring, even though he knew he might never see the flowers bloom. The gardener's faith in the future, his willingness to nurture beauty he might never witness, was a reminder that meaning is not always found in immediate rewards. Sometimes it's woven into the fabric of patience, persistence, and the quiet hope that what we do matters, even if we can't see it yet. Another tale described a young woman who visited her lonely neighbor every Sunday, bringing him fresh bread and stories from her week. She didn't know that her visits were the highlight of his life, or that her laughter had pulled him back from despair more than once. In her ordinary kindness, she had become a lifeline without even realizing it. Daniel closed the book, his heart aching and full at the same time. The stories didn't solve his problems, nor did they erase the heaviness he felt, but they offered something precious, a reminder that meaning is often hidden in the smallest places. It's in the smile we give a stranger, the message we send to a friend, the choice to get up and face another day. He bought the book and kept it beside his bed. On the darkest nights, he would open it and read a story, letting the words wash over him like a gentle rain. Slowly, he began to notice the world around him again, the way the morning sunlight painted his walls, the laughter drifting up from the street, the simple pleasure of sharing a meal with someone else. Daniel started volunteering at a local shelter, helping serve dinner to those in need. He found himself listening to their stories, sharing his own, discovering that even in pain, people could find connection. Each smile, each shared moment, was a thread in a tapestry of meaning. It wasn't a sudden transformation. Life remained difficult, and some days were harder than others. But Daniel learned that meaning is not something you find once and for all. It's something you build, day by day, through kindness, courage, and the willingness to keep going even when the path is unclear. So if you ever feel like life is pointless, remember Daniel's story, and the stories in Wordy Tales. Remember that your existence matters, even if you can't see how right now. Meaning is not always loud or obvious. Sometimes it's as quiet as turning a page, as gentle as a stranger's smile, as persistent as a gardener planting seeds for a future he may never see. Hold on. The story isn't over, and somewhere in the pages of your life, there is a tale that will heal your heart.